Hello, Get Rock Solid Coaching. This is Dan Rochon. Today, I am joined with Lars Hedenborg. Did I say that right?
You said it perfect.
All right. I was up all night last night practicing that. I was doing the little exercises there. So Lars is an entrepreneur first. A real estate agent is the business that he runs, as well as coaching and some other things. And I'll let Lars tell you a little bit more about himself here in a second. The reason why we do these calls every Thursday is really to be able to provide the most amount of value to the real estate industry and to be able to meet talented people such as Lars and to be able to get in great relationships. And if you're looking for, some coaching, some one-on-one type conversations, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you. So here's Lars. So Lars, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So my journey in real estate was like 2007, started 12 years ago. I was married in 2006. We had our first child at the end of 2007, ended up having 2 children, within a few years. And that was when I was launching my real estate career. And it was hard. Like, it was just hard. My first full year, I remember I sold 44 homes, which was a lot. And I pretty much worked 7 days a week doing it. And I knew that it was more important ultimately for me to be a good dad and a good husband than it was to sell a lot of homes. And I'm an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs cannot put it down. We cannot turn it off. We're just sort of wired for just always moving forward. So I had to figure out a way where I could sort of still, scratch that entrepreneurial itch, but not give away my life doing it. And so hired my first assistant in 2008, hired my first buyer's agent in 2009. We went from 58 to 118 to 178. That's the year I got out of listings. The next year, I think I only closed one of our 248. Then we did more than 300, more than 400. And I had a systems mindset the whole time. So I'm like, I don't ever want to do that job again because I'm not good at it. Let me build a system where I can get someone to do it that is willing to work for less dollars than I am. And still do a better job for the client. So that's just been my whole journey. Really, it's just like build a system, get someone who's well suited to do that position, to do the position.
Was there a turning point? I mean, go back to early on. And so you mentioned that, hey, I was working 7 days a week. I was a new dad. I wanted to be a dad, be a husband, and that was my priority. Was there like was that an evolution? Was there a distinct, period where you said where you had that acknowledgement?
I think it was, so I got into real estate in March 2007. I ended up working for a small boutique brokerage where the owner of the brokerage, the guy had all the expenses. He had agents working under him, but he also did his own production. Mm-hmm. He worked a lot of hours and managed all of us. So I got an early glimpse of how I didn't want to do it. He's stressed all the time. He worked like endless hours all the time, never turned it off. And so I think that was part of it. And then, it was just exhausting. Like I left a really good corporate job for the prospect of, being able to, my goal was to make $500,000 working 2,000 hours a year. I literally did that math and it was $250 an hour. And that was the turning point for me when I realized that 99% of a real estate agent's activities you can hire other people to do for a lot less than $250 an hour.
Okay.
So I read a book called Dan Kennedy, No BS Time Management for Entrepreneurs, the second edition. And in there's a chapter on time management and just time versus money. And that was really profound, for me. And probably even before that, I read the book, Michael Gerber, E-Myth Revisited.
Sure.
And that still is a guiding question for me. How would I have to think about my business differently if I were to replicate it 10,000 times?
I'm fumbling around here. Sorry.
Yeah. And I recommend everyone, read the book. Real estate agents are the E-Myth. It's a myth that you're an entrepreneur if you're the one working with buyers and sellers. You're not an entrepreneur. You're a technician. You're not spending any time doing the work of a manager. The manager builds the systems and hires people to run the systems. And then the entrepreneur, kind of is the owner and the visionary. So This year, I won't work with a client. We closed 1.8 million GCI. We have in the first half of the year, so 6 months, we have 13, 14 people on our team, and I don't do any personal production, and we're well over 30% profit, which is an anomaly for a real estate team.
You saw me fumbling there. I'm actually reading the E-Myth right now, and I thought it was in my bag below me. I was going to give a plug for Michael Gerber, but I think it's in my car out there. But either way, so Lars, so 1.8 million in volume in 6 months with 13 or 14 people. How many units is that? How many homes is that?
I think we're running over $10,000 a commission check, so it's probably less than 180. It's probably somewhere in the 165 to 170 range in terms of units. I think we're running around 11,000.
And that's for 6 months, though.
That's for 6 months, yeah. So our budget this year was $3 million. So we budgeted our expenses against $3 million, and we're going to hit our push was 3.6.
And your profitability, you said 38%. Did you mention that already?
It's closer to 40% than it is 30%. Got
it. So how do you do that?
Yeah, so it comes back to, and this is like a whole journey, so if you're like a busy top producing real estate agent you're starting there, but there's like 3 points in between. The first step is to hire your administrator, get rid of 60% of the stuff you do that you can pay someone 20 to 25 bucks an hour to do, less in some markets. And then your job is to become a sales leader, where you've got a little bit of leverage. Now you can bring folks onto your team that can take over your buyers, get out of buyers, build a system for that, and then get out of it. And then same thing with listings. Then you focus on listing, lead generation. The most agents, if you think about, there's only 4 things that make money. If you're a real estate agent and you're doing anything other than these 4 things, you are not maximizing every hour of the day into your highest dollar producing activities. And number 1 is prospecting, which we call that new business development. So whatever you do to develop new business, I don't care if it's, calling your database, or if it's calling expireds, or if it's circle prospect, whatever it is, you've got to do it. Time protected, time blocked, 3 hours a day. Then there's L. So that's P. There's L is lead follow-up. So it's PLAN. L is lead follow-up. Right after that, you take a 10-minute break and you go into lead follow-up. New business development is only having new conversations with people. And then lead follow-up is all your ABCs that you're following up with. A is appointments. So we call those consultations, but appointments is buyer and seller consultations. You're acquiring new clients. Some agents consider showing homes to buyers appointments. We have showing agents. We can hire out that activity to a well-qualified real estate agent at 20 to 25 bucks an hour. And they do a really good job with showing homes. And then N is negotiating deals. So putting buyers and sellers under contract. Those are the only 4 things you make money doing. You don't make money necessarily going back to the home to, measure for blinds. You don't make money putting sign in the yard. You don't make money entering a listing in MLS. You don't make money creating the brochure that you're going to, have in the home. So there's just like so many things that you don't make money in, and just really making sure you fill your calendar, which is as much of PLAN as possible. And that's going to ultimately give you, we talk about time, money, and stress. Like professionally, I want to have the time, money, stress like equation. You have to decide how much money you want to make. You really have to decide. My goal is to make a 7-figure income working 1,000 hours a year with no stress or limited stress.
How much is that an hour?
It's $1,000 an hour.
We'll take it.
Yeah. So, and I'm not there yet because I'm working. I figured out the 7-figure income part, but I haven't figured out. I still work, 4 to 5 days a week. So I'm still putting in more than 1,000 hours, and my stress sometimes does spike. So, just being involved in 2 businesses. But it's working against that equation all the time. Most real estate agents have no time, and if they're not working, they're not present with their families because they're stressed, which is the third. I was going to put up my middle finger. That probably wouldn't have been appropriate. And the money
that's after the frustration.
Yeah, and the money could be good in real estate, but you're basically, you're sacrificing family time and your physical health, your spiritual health for money. because you have no time and you're stressed all the time.
Okay. So prospecting, lead follow-up, appointments, negotiation. Those are the 4 money items. Did I hear you correctly on that?
Yeah. And if I would just quickly, if you're listening to this or watching this, take a quick inventory of, this week, through the 4 days, if you're watching this live, or if you can look back 7 days, and how many hours did you work? And then what percentage of your time were in those 4 buckets? And if it's not like 80%, you're going to lose the game in some area of your life. It's just by definition, you're going to lose the game. So that'll force you to get a part-time assistant. That'll force you to leverage yourself with a VA. That'll force you to leverage yourself with some technology. So it kind of forces the issue when you declare that I want to make $250 an hour. So
you're doing 320, 360, somewhere in that ballpark in regards to units a year. So is that about right?
Yep.
So where does that business come from?
So that's another thing too. I think most real estate teams now, they think they've got a business, and it's a lot of them are just buying business through Zillow or Realtor.com. Before you hit Let's Go Live, I told you a story about, I know a guy that's spending $100,000 a month on Zillow and Realtor.com. He went from 700 units in 2017 to 925 units in 2018. Most people in his market are like, my gosh, let's bow to your feet, and let's put the palm leaves down ahead of you as you walk through town on your donkey or whatever. And he made no additional dollars.
That's crazy.
So he probably, I don't think he's at a 10,000. He may be at a 6 or 7, 8,000 for 200 deals. I mean, he added, what is that? 200 times. I mean, it's over $1 million, right? Yeah. It's a lot of GCI, and
it's 1.2 in Zillow.
Yeah. 1.2 in Zillow, and his overall profit dollars. So his margin went way down. Yeah. And his profit dollars didn't go up. And so I think there's a lot of teams so all that to say is that my team, I mean, we have a Zillow Premier profile. Okay. That's the only thing we pay for in terms of a forced registration, like a home search lead. Okay. We don't do pay-per-click. We don't do we've done all of them, but we haven't done them for like 2 years now. ZillowRealtor.com, pay-per-click, Facebook, Craigslist, all that stuff we don't do. They still work. So I'll say if you're doing it and there's a return on it, you don't want to stop it, but you want to focus all of your efforts on obtaining a listing. Anything you could do to obtain a listing, and then there's 5 potential commission checks that you can earn just from getting that listing. And so get the listing no matter what it takes, and then leverage your systems, your marketing systems, your client care systems, to be able to get, so the first one is you sell the listing that you took. Second one is you get a buyer from the listing. Third one is you get a referral from the seller that closes. Fourth one is you help that seller buy a home. And fifth, even if it's refer them out of the market. And the fifth one is you get a seller in the neighborhood via an open house, a door knocking, or circle prospecting.
And so go back to your team. Is that originating from expires, from for sale by owners, from sphere of influence? Before you get to those 5, where is it just you've been in business long enough that it just is, coming in from
We still actively prospect. So our main sources of business, we probably do about so of the 3.6 million, we'll probably do about 1.2 or so from our database. Okay. We do small client events, usually $2,000 to $3,000, that are mostly paid for by vendors. We do a couple giveaways, pie giveaway, Valentine's chocolate giveaways that are offset by our vendors. And then we do a monthly e-newsletter. We do and jumbo postcards. And then we also call around the events and giveaways. So that's the entire Clients for Life program. And
the jumbo postcards, that's going to your sphere?
Just the database of 2,100 people or whatever.
Okay, so then you said small client appreciation events. How many? What's small? How do you define that?
Just something that it doesn't matter if if 500 people show up or 100 people show up, it's not going to scale the cost of it. So we
Got
did
it.
like a shred it event where we had coffee and donuts on the way to work. You could bring your stuff to shred. And so we probably had only 100 of the 2,100 show up, but we got credit for calling every one of them. We dropped a postcard to every one of them. We sent an email to every one of them to let them know that we were doing this for them. So even if they didn't come, and that was like a $500 event.
Sure.
So just get creative on the stuff you do. And I think we had a lender pay for the donuts and the coffee. So just getting smarter with how you spend money. So that's a Clients for Life program. That's about a third of our business. We do really good business on expireds and FSBOs. We mail expireds and FSBOs, and we also call expireds and FSBOs. And so we'll probably do $1 million on expireds and FSBOs.
That's great.
Yeah. And so that's a big pillar. And then what else do we do? We do not close to $1 million, but we have yard signs. We do 3 yard signs in every property.
Okay.
We find that buyers want a selection. When we went from 1 yard sign that's like hyper branded, where they know they're going to get an agent, to 3 yard signs, the other 2 are less threatening. There's a 24/7 info line and there's an everyday open house. So we have 3 signs, and we increased our call volume 2.5 times by having 3 signs.
That's great.
Yeah. And so it's not that much more expensive, and the labor's out there putting the signs in anyway.
Yeah.
So
You might as well put the other 2 up there.
Yep.
The client appreciation events, how many of those a year do you do?
We do 4 of those, and then we do 2 giveaways. So 6 total. Every other month, we're either doing a giveaway or a client appreciation event.
Okay. Tell us a little bit, Lars, if you could. So I know that we were talking earlier is really about how do we get more time and how do we get more profit. So tell us a little bit about your team structure and how do you maintain that high level of profit?
Yeah. So, I think ultimately it's about getting the systems in place for all the things that need to happen in the various aspects of your business in a way where it's like it's a system, so that a lot of real estate agents will take a listing, they will take their own photos, they will input the listing into MLS, and they'll design a brochure. So we can hire someone. We hired a marketing coordinator for $12 an hour. She's crushing it. 2 years later, she's making $22 an hour. Bottom line, though, there's someone that works like 50 hours a week that is doing all of that stuff. And we have VAs that can do some stuff for us. So big picture, it's designing the thing to kind of separate the 12 different jobs that there are for a real estate agent and getting people to do those things. You can't do it all right away. So if you're a solo agent, you have to hire an administrator. There are lots of licensed real estate agents that are not well suited for real estate sales that would be happy to be your assistant. They could make $40,000 a year and take 2,500 hours of work off of your plate. So you can spend 2,500 hours doing PLAN all the time. So once you make that first hire, the next thing to get out of that person is now your marketing coordinator, your listing coordinator, and your closing coordinator to start. And then you got to hire a buyer agent or 2 or a showing agent or 2 to get out of showing homes. Showing homes, like, I don't need to see the home you're not going to buy. The value of having a showing agent is that you have somebody who sees more inventory than any other real estate agent in our market. So it's just the dialogue. You secure the client, they go out with your showing agent. Or at worst case, get buyer agents, because buyers kind of just ruin your whole life, essentially. It's evenings and weekends primarily that you're showing homes, and your family doesn't want to hang out Tuesday at 2 p.m., or at noon because they're in school or your spouse is at their job. And then, really getting those agents you bring on your team to be productive. So they're selling 2, 3, 4 homes a month, and all of the listings that they generate, their buyer clients, even their sphere, they're giving them to you, and you're the listing agent. Once you get enough of a business, you get to 100, 125 sides, you're now looking for one of them to step into your role as listing agent. Start as a backup, and then they take over your role. Now you're a full-time manager, and you add a few more agents, and naturally you've added another administrator at this point. And that's the whole journey. But everyone is doing the thing that they were meant to do, created to do. because you kind of built it as specialists.
So today, how many listing assistants do you have, or listing specialists? How many buyers agents? How many showing agents?
Yeah, so we don't really have buyers agents. We are a listing focused business. So we're like 65% listings. I think we're short on agents. So I think we're missing opportunity.
Sure.
So I think we could probably sell another 50 or 60 buyers just if we had another couple lead agents. So we have lead agents, showing agents, and inside sales.
Okay.
So couple inside sales. We have one showing agent. We need another. We have 3 lead agents, and we need 1 or 2 more lead agents. So really in sales right now, there's 5 or 6.
Okay.
A new guy starting in a week or so. But it's not a big sales team.
Sure.
And then we've got, 7 administrators. We got 2 runners. One's at like $8 an hour. One's at $12 an hour. The one that's been with us for over a year, he's a young kid, but he wants to go into inside sales. So we're giving him opportunity there. We've got someone at the front desk that also helps with listings. We've got a marketing coordinator, a listing coordinator, and a closing coordinator.
And so
like 6 or 7 on the administrative side.
Got it. So 3 lead agents, 1 showing agent, 6 or 7 on the admin side, 2 runners, and you have the need for at least 1 or 2 or 3 lead agents.
Yeah, and we probably are low on a showing agent. We can use a couple more inside sales. So we're always recruiting.
Yeah.
So we definitely, it's probably not a 1-to-1 ratio. I think it's probably a 2-to-1 ratio of sales to admin. We're at about 1-to-1 ratio now, but we could keep our 7 or 8 admin, and we can go up to 14 or 15 in sales, broken down inside showing agents and lead agents. Our lead agents don't show homes. So if you know the buyer client acquisition process, and the seller client acquisition process, the presentations, the scripts, the dialogues, the paperwork, and all of that, it's just as easy to meet with a seller as it is a buyer.
Sure.
So and work both sides.
So how would you define the culture on your team?
We've got a tight culture, it's hard to find folks that fit our culture. We have 6 core values. Our first 2 probably knock out 95% of licensed people.
What are those?
We hustle and work hard, and we embrace accountability and discipline.
Okay.
And so that means that we time block, and we actually do new business development, and we're accountable for it. We report our numbers every day. We have a positive attitude. We have a growth mindset. We're team players, and we do the right thing. And so we're tight on culture. We let people go, or they self-select out of our team because they don't feel right about their fit within our team because of our culture. But the name of our real estate team is High Performance Real Estate Advisors. So we've already defined it out of the gate that we play this game at a pretty high level, and not everybody's going to be able to compete on our team and stay on our team.
So you're looking for competitive, high performance people that embrace accountability.
Yep. And they want to win.
Got it. So you're doing, so now you're coaching team leaders, people that are developing sales teams. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So my journey from like solo agent to hire an admin to starting a team and bringing buyer agents on to, getting out of buyers, getting out of listings, being the manager, and elevating from 7 to 5 to 3 to 2 to 1 day a week. It was really hard. I made every mistake you could make multiple times. I overspent. I bought stuff I shouldn't have bought. I just did everything you could do wrong. And I finally figured it out. It took about 6 years for me to really figure the whole thing out. And even every day in the last 6 years, I've been failing and still figuring it out. And so I just decided 6 years ago that I'm going to teach the mistakes that I made and some of the things I did right to others. The B in real estate B school stands for business. So essentially it's just business coaching for real estate agents, and we have a very small slice of the market. It's someone that's already sort of built at least a 500,000 GCI team, an assistant, a couple buyer agents. We do really well there, up to $1.5 million team. We've also got $5.5 million teams that I coach. We took on a new client who did 3.3 million last year. He profited 200, and his personal production was 400. So Like there's a lot of businesses out there that are just really jacked up, and we can come in and kind of just tweak the dials, you know, get them clear on their core values, get the people off the bus that don't need to be on the bus, stop the spending on everything that feels like a good idea, minimize the dependency on Zillow and Realtor.com, you know, really focus on the database, really work out the client experience so you naturally get referrals as part of serving your clients, and just to build a business that I think is going to be defendable in the future. You know, I think it's going to be hard to compete with the client experience that my team is giving a buyer and a seller if you're a solo agent. And
so you mentioned, you know, about avoiding the failures or setbacks, the learning opportunities, and understanding the successes. So what's one thing that you would advise that individual right now that's developing a team, leading a team to do? And what's one thing that you would say don't do?
All right. So the one mistake that I've made over and over again, and we continue to make it, is that we hire for potential and not patterns.
Okay. So you're looking for a record of success when you're hiring.
Yeah. I mean, it's so easy to do. Like you sit down with somebody that's newly licensed, they want to be a real estate agent, and you know you need to hire agents, and you know, they've demonstrated no track record of hustle or hard work. They've demonstrated no track record in any area of their life around accountability or discipline. They have not read a book in the last 2 years. So they don't have a growth mindset. You know, there's all these red flags, but we tend to ignore them. And so we don't, you know, you can hire proven talent, emerging talent, or potential talent. Generally, potential talent, it's like 1 out of 10 will be on your team.
Sure.
You know, 12 to 18 months in, and we've proven that out every time.
And let me interrupt real quick. So before you do that, what I heard you say is you have to be able to define your culture, define your values, understand who you are first before you understand who would be a good fit for you. Then you pay attention to the clues. Am I understanding that right?
100%. And we weren't really, probably for the first 3-4 years, I wasn't entirely sure. I didn't really know. I had a business background, and I actually had a business degree, but I wasn't really sure how to translate core values. Like I knew core values to be like a thing that's on the wall. How do you actually translate it into the business? But that's exactly right. Like I'm having an eyeball to eyeball conversation with you. You want to join the team. Tell me specifically how you hustle and work hard in your everyday life. Tell me specifically what you do in terms of accountability and discipline. You know,
you're looking for examples. You're looking for, hey, this was the time in my life that I did this.
Yeah. And then when I'm calling your references, I'm like, tell me specifically how this guy showed up in this way. Tell me specifically. So it eliminates the chance of hiring someone for potential. And then something that, so that was something that I've done wrong, continue to do wrong, getting better at it. Something that
slow learner sometimes.
Yeah. Something that I did right. I mean, I always knew my numbers.
Okay.
You know, so I always, you know, I never really had a hard time deciding where to put money. You know, once I figured out my tracking system, we track dollars spent, you know, per lead, per appointment set, per appointment met, per appointment signed, per appointment. Like we have I know how much I need to pay to get someone to the front door of a listing appointment on radio versus expired. You know, and it's like we've watched the radio number go through the roof over the last 3 years to the point where it barely adds to our bottom line anymore. You know, and that's another thing. You see these top teams spending $150,000 a month on mass media. There's no profit left. I promise you.
What would you say the most important key performance indicators would be? What would if you were to like say, here's the 3 or 4 numbers, because you pay attention to all of them, what are the most important?
Yeah, I would say from just a productivity standpoint, like there's a good chance you're going to lose the game as a team leader if you don't build a culture of productivity. Like everyone in your team has to have X number of meaningful conversations a day to a decision-making adult about real estate. If you're doing outside sales in addition to your new business development, it's probably 25. Okay. If you're only doing new business development, so you're only inside sales all day long, it's probably 50.
Got it.
If you actually go back and measure your last week of meaningful conversations, a lot of agents have like 2 or 3 a day.
Yeah,
And the reality is you have to have, on the low side, if you're only talking to your sphere, probably 20 a day to set one appointment, a potential buyer seller consultation, up to 50 if you're working cold lead sources. And if you suck on the phone or you just suck at it, it's 70.
Yeah.
And we watch it go down from 70 to 60 to 50 to 40, where an ISA could set one appointment a day when they have 50 contacts.
Got it.
So that's like on the new business development side. And then I would say, one thing we started doing with, and I think this will change the game for us. It has, we started measuring how many clients. So if we have 5 closings in a week, of those 5 closings, how many did we have a referral in hand before they left the closing table?
Okay.
And we've sort of like, work backwards. I forget what the term is. We've kind of
reverse engineered.
Yeah. We reverse engineered that. We want to have 100% of our closings have at least one referral in hand. So what would have had to happen in the transaction? And so we built in 8 touch points, scripts that our listing client care, our transaction coordinator, our director of operations, we're just checking in to see how things are going. And if they're going well, we're asking for a referral. And so that's an interesting data point. Most agents think they're doing great. And, are you delivering an experience that your clients couldn't imagine being any better?
And what is that number?
When we started, it was less than 5%.
Okay.
So that's not to say we won't get a referral from them at some point, because we'll throw them into our Clients Life program. We'll give them calls, we'll give them a pie, whatever. But we have had, it's consistently over 30% now, and we've hit 40%.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, and our goal is to get to 80%. Like, how could we change our process to just blow the minds of our clients to where we're getting at least 80% of closings? We have a quality referral in our hand before we leave the closing table. And so I just think it's an interesting way to look at your business, because I think it's the only way you can compete in the future is if you're looking at your business that way.
Yeah.
Have you read the book, The Referral Engine? I forget who wrote it, but it's a really good book. I recommend it for everybody.
Okay.
The punchline of the book is that in order to be a referral engine, your business has to be referable. Which is kind of like, duh.
You got to be good.
Yeah. And it basically helps you kind of break down what the business would need to do to just thrive and grow. If you only had the clients that you work with, you only had them to grow your business, how would you think about your business differently?
Love it. Thank you so much for your time today, Lars. How can somebody get in touch with Real Estate B-School?
Yeah, I would say, I've got really nothing to sell except a 45-minute conversation with me personally. We call it business growth strategy session. So if you're at the point where you've started down this path of building a team, or if you have a big team and it's just not what you thought it was cut out to be, you don't have time, money, and stress freedom, just go to realestatebschool.com. Right on the top of the website, there's a request a free strategy session. There's like a 5-question application, and Stacy, who works with me, she'll book you into my calendar, and we'll just have a conversation about what's working, what's not working, what do you want in the future, what's holding you back, sort of thing.
Love it. Lars, thank you so much, and keep doing the great work. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, take care.